أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to the class again. I hope you all are okay. Everything is fine. I hope the weather is fine at your end as well. So last time there was some announcement that I made that the class is not going to happen live because I had an appointment with the doctor for my son. But that changed, appointment changed. So I did send an email around back on Wednesday or Thursday timeframe that the class will take place. I hope you read it and you're able to join this class. If not, no worries. The recording is going to be there. It's fine. Just cover up on the recording, inshallah. So what we plan to do today is just to revise what we have done, and inshallah, go forward with some of the topic if we have time, inshallah. Yeah, I want to keep the class a bit lighter today because it's a lot of stuff that we covered last time. I just want to make sure that you are comfortable with it. It's not very confusing. By the way, what we did last time was, although it's quite a lot, but it was not too difficult really. If you see it a bit more pragmatically, if you know how to make a fi'il light or a lightest fi'il, then you should be able to create those commands and forbiddings without problems. But if you're struggling to make it light and lightest, if you're struggling to understand the concept, then you will struggle, because yes, that requires that understanding. But I'm sure you guys have a good grasp on it. If not, just go back to the lecture, listen to the lecture, do the exercise again, inshallah. Don't give up. That's how it starts. That's how it comes. So don't worry about it. And inshallah, we'll take it from there. Okay. Good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a very quick revision of what we have done last time. And then we will do further studies depending upon how we go in the class, inshallah. So let me just quickly share my screen with you. Give me a second. Question: if there's anything that is bothering you, please do send your question in the chat, and inshallah I will try to answer as much as I can. Okay. Good. Let me share my screen with you. So you should be able to see my screen now. I have brought in the notes we have developed last time in the class. So just to save time, that we don't have to develop them here to revise what we did. So just so we are aligned on what we did exactly. So what we have done last time is quickly. So we started the topic of commanding and forbidding. We of course revised the present tense light and the present tense lightest, fi'il mudari mansub and fi'il mudari majhul. And we did establish some context before we jumped into forbidding and commanding. We said there are two types of fi'ils we have done. And what we have done in the fi'il mazi is the fi'il mazi and the jumla fi'liya concept. And in the fi'il mudari, what we have done is also the jumla fi'liya concept, which is quite similar to the fi'il mazi one. But in the fi'il mudari, we have done fi'il mudari mansub, which is the light present tense fi'il, and fi'il mudari madzum, which is the lightest present tense fi'il. And we also covered the fi'il nahi, which was forbidding, and we also covered fi'il amr. Okay. Now we want to do something else today as well. There's another concept which I will add to here, which we are going to cover inshallah soon in the fi'il mudari. Okay, so which is fi'il mudari majhul. Fi'il mudari majhul. Fi'il mudari majhul. Okay? Fi'il mudari majhul. It is effectively passive. Okay, and this concept goes along with present tense and past tense both. It goes along with present tense and past tense both. Okay, fi'il mudari majhul. Let me just break it down here like this. We call it fi'il mudari majhul or fi'il madhi majhul. Okay? Two different categories. Fi'il madhi majhul. Okay, past passive, and this is present passive. Okay, present passive. Okay. So these two concepts, I will see if we can touch on them today, how far we go, inshallah, and then we take it from there. Okay, so we will keep this table, inshallah. I'll try to keep this table in front of us, so we have the entire summary of what we have been doing with the fi'ils. Okay, so all the concepts. So we have not done these two yet. We've not done these two yet. Okay, the fi'il mudari majhul and fi'il mudari madhi majhul. Okay, we have not done it. What we have done is majzoom, which is lightest. Okay, good. So that's what we did. But this is the new edition I've just made. And we also did some observations. I've brought in the same one, so I don't have to write again. So just to save time, so let's go through those observations a little bit. To start with the forbidding and the commanding topic, we said first observation is you cannot command and forbid yourself. Oh, sorry, in the past tense. You just cannot command and forbid in the past tense. So past tense is not applicable. The past tense is not applicable. Okay? Then, number two, you cannot forbid or command yourself. It means first person. You cannot command yourself. First person. This means the pronouns ana and nahnu are not applicable here. Okay, so they will not be used. Okay. Number three was you cannot forbid or command someone who's not there. Yeah. So you have to be someone present together with you to command and forbid someone, right? So the third person are not applicable too. There would be some exceptions that we may do in the later classes, but those are exceptions. Those things remain exceptions. Largely, this observation is true. So the forbidding and commanding cannot be done if there's no one there, right? So the third persons are not applicable. So third person is someone who's usually not there. Okay? And the grammatically, command is not always a command. We saw some examples. So, okay, go fail. If someone tells you like that, it could be a sarcasm, right? And another example, we said, okay, if my friend tells me, okay, should I buy the car? Oh, go buy it. Yeah. So that's a suggestion and recommendation. It could be aspects of motivation, persuasion, inspiration, whatever. Well, it could be something which is not a command itself. Okay. Although grammatically speaking, it may look like it is a command. Okay. Then we have the fifth one. Forbidding is generally easier. Sometimes you just have to say no to forbid someone. But commanding comes with a set of instructions. Commanding is usually asking to follow certain instructions specifically. Okay, go drink water. Okay, go worship. Okay, so it's an action that you actually give specifically to someone to execute. But in case of forbidding, you should just say no. No, you're not giving any such action, right? So sometimes you're specific. That's true as well. So no, don't run. Don't run, for example. But forbidding could still be done without giving an action, just by saying no, right? So that's in that sense, forbidding is generally easier, okay, to achieve. Then we did some rules. Then we started with the fail nahi. Okay, then we started with the fail nahi, forbidding. Formula, I gave you this formula. I gave you this formula. La plus second person lightest. Okay? La plus second person lightest. And we took a fail yazhabu. And we constructed yazhabu. We constructed yazhabu. And what we have to achieve is the second person and the lightest and then the la. Okay? So first we have the first person. We have the third person. We moved it to second person, which is yellow. Okay? Second person. Then we make it lightest, which is the blue one. Okay? And then we add a la to it, and then we add a la to it, which is the green one. Okay? Then we add a la to it. Okay? La plus second person lightest. Okay? That's how we did this. So there's a sequence of actions that we have to take. First, make the fail come into the second person, then make it lightest, and then put a la in front. Okay? So another fail, yansuru was a huwa version, and then we went to the tansuru, which is the anta version, right? We went to the tansuru, which is anta version. From tansuru, we made it lightest by removing the dhamma and putting it a sukoon instead of it, right? We made it tansur, made it tansur. Sorry, it's not green, it's blue. It's blue. Okay. And then there is a la. Then there is a la that we attach to it. Okay, three-step process, effectively. Okay, and the same story with everyone, every of the fails below. We did an example of feminine pronouns like antunna or hunna and antunna, and we said, okay, if we want to say don't write to feminine plural, so it was we have to take the antunna, right? Hunna won't apply. Antunna we have to take. So what we took is the fail called yaktubu. Yaktubu is he writes. Then we made it yaktubna, which is the antunna hunna version, and then we made it the second person, which is taktubna, which is the antunna version. From the antunna version, we made it lightest. And in the case of feminine plural, the lightest and the normal form looks the same. Remember, the rafa, mansub, marfu, mansub, and majzoom looks the same, right? Okay. So we made it lightest, and then we put the la in front of it. Okay. La taktubna. Okay. Don't write. Okay. To the plural feminine. Okay. Same story with the yata'allamuna. We changed it to tata'allamuna. First, the second person changed. And then from the tata'allamuna, we made it light. How did we make it light? We made it light by removing the noon here. Okay? We made it right by removing the noon here. Okay? And then there is a la tata'allamu. The la is added. This la is added. Therefore we have the forbidding statement. Okay? Okay? It was pretty easy. It was not too difficult. There's a logic to it that we did. And inshallah, I hope you got it right, inshallah. Okay? Okay, then we also discussed about observations and statements. We said a forbidding that may look like a forbidding sometimes. If you look at more closely, it is actually not. It is more of an observation side. Okay, so if you look at these two, la taktub, this is a forbidding statement because there is a sukoon, there is a lightest form in the end. Okay. But if you look at the la taqtubu, there is no lightest form, right? There's no lightest form. So if you have no lightest form, but it looks like a structure of forbidding, it is more of an observation or a statement than the forbidding itself. Right? It's more of an observation or a statement than the forbidding itself. Okay? But in case of forbidding, you would always have the lightest form, right? So be careful when you read the Quran, when you do the Arabs, don't just rush to call it forbidding, just analyze it. What's it? What is it? Okay? What is it? Especially when you have cases like la taktubna, because these things in the antunna and hunna version, they look the same in the lightest, and the normal form. In the marfu, mansub, and the majzoom form. Okay, they look the same. Okay, so the context is going to tell you. Context will tell you if it is forbidding or is it just an observation. You have to do a bit more closer analysis on that. Okay? Just be mindful of this. Okay? So that was forbidding. That was forbidding. Fail nahi. Fail nahi. We did that, and it was quite an interesting session. And it's a very interesting topic in itself. Okay? Then we jumped onto the commanding. Okay? You see why I'm not typing myself? Because there's so much we covered last time, and I just didn't want to spend time typing all that. Here is just better just to go through what we have done like this. Okay? When we did the commanding process, how to create a command. Okay? Step 1, we said we will start with the second person present tense. Fi'il mudari, second person, meaning anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna. Okay? Those 6 ones, second person pronouns only, right? And we make it lightest. We make it majzoom. We make it majzoom. And once we have made it majzoom, we will remove the tha from the fi'il. The first tha that is happening, occurring on the fi'il, we will remove it. Okay? Because the second persons are usually the tas, right? Tansuru, tansurani, tansurina, tansuruna, tansurna, and so on. Right? So there's a ta always in the first place. So you would remove the ta in the third step. And then check if you can read it right. Okay? If you can read it, just leave it alone. That's done. This is your command. Okay? But if you cannot read it, you need to go a bit more further. Okay? Give it a helper aleph. Give it a helper aleph. Okay? So this is a stick. The word cannot walk. You need to give it a stick so it can walk. Yes? If you cannot read it, it's like it's not able to walk. You have to give it a stick, so remember that. So this aleph is kind of a stick for the word. Helps it to be pronounced. Okay? So make sure you give it a helper aleph if you cannot read it. Then go back to the hua form of this word. Go back to the hua form of this word and check the haraka on the second to last letter, or the second last letter. Yeah, second to last letter of the hua form. Okay, check the haraka on the second to last letter of the hua form. If it is dhamma, give the helper aleph a dhamma, because we need to give the haraka to helper aleph, don't we? If it is dhamma, then give the helper aleph a dhamma. Otherwise, just give it a kasra. There is not going to be a fatha. It's not going to be a fatha. Okay? Let's look at the examples. We had yu'allimu, we made it tu'allimu. We made it tu'allimu, which is the second person. Then we made it tu'allim, which is the lightest, majzoom form. And then we removed the tha. Then we remove the tha. Okay? Which is then we are left with allim. Can we read it? Yes, we can read it. So this is the command, allim. Nothing to be done. Up to step 4, we are done. Up to step 4, we are done. Then let's look at the yashabu. Yashabu. We made it tazhabu. We made it tazhabu. From tazhabu, we made it lightest, zoom, which is tazhab. Okay? And from tazhab, we remove the tha, and we are left with something that we cannot read. Zal, ha, and ba. Right? So why can't we read it? Because there is a sukoon in the beginning. So it means there should be no sound in the beginning. Okay? Now, neither fatha, nor dhamma, or no kasra. So how should I read it? Okay? So because the word cannot walk, I gave it a helper alif. Okay, I gave it azhab, and now the haraka on the azhab, helper alif. So for the haraka, I go back to the huwa form here, I go back to the huwa form, and I look at the second last letter in the huwa form, which is the ha. Yes. If it is dhamma, I need to give the helper alif a dhamma. If it is not dhamma, anything else, I give it a kasra. Now here it's a fatha, therefore I give it a kasra. So it is izhab, your command. Go. Izhab. Go. Okay. Yansuru. Yansuru. We took this yansuru and we wanted to make a command for plural. Okay. We said yansuruna. We made it tansuruna. From tansuruna, we made it lightest by removing the noon and adding the alif because there is a vowel ending. Right. Tansuru. And we then remove the ta. We are left with something we cannot read again. There is a sukoon on the noon. Okay. So to overcome this, what do? The word cannot walk. We will give it a helper alif. Okay, a helper alif. We give it a helper alif, and then we go back to the huwa form, and we find the second last letter, which is the swad. And we see the what's the haraka on the swad. Swad has a dhamma. If it is a dhamma, we give what? We give dhamma. Okay, to the helper alif. Right? So unsuru is going to be the command. That's pretty simple, isn't it? So, but then we saw an example of yaqulu, and we saw this is a bit of an advanced example, but this word is used so much in the Quran. I just wanted to give you this example. So yaqulu means he says, right? Taqulu is the second person, right? We made it second person. And from taqulu, we made it lightest. Okay? And when we made it lightest, we have a two sukoon problem. Because we cannot read it. But before we solve it, we go ahead and we remove the ta. We make it in a complete form that is required for the commanding. We remove the ta. And we have kaf, waw, and lam. Kaf I can read as ku, but waw and lam, I'm not sure. Okay? So there's a two sukoon problem. And when there's a two sukoon problem, you drop the weaker letter. The weaker letter is vowel. Being a vowel, vowel is the weaker letter. You would drop the weaker letter. When you drop the weaker letter, it ends up in ul. Ul. And this is the word used so much in the Quran. Yes? So much in the Quran. A lot. We don't want to miss out on this one. So I just wanted to give you this. Okay? That's what we did. Alhamdulillah. We have come a long way, mashallah. So we have covered all the topics in your notes that are listed that you have. Now, whichever topics we're going to do, these topics are going to be new. They're going to be outside of your notes. So we'll have to keep on sending you the notes. Okay, if we have them. Otherwise, you will have to make them as well. But inshallah, we will give you as many notes as we can. We have some notes already prepared, so we will give you those notes, inshallah. Okay, there's one remark I want to say about commanding. Okay, there's something called about commanding. Before I move on to the next topic, there's something which is called under the commanding topic. Commanding. Wait a second. Okay, yeah. Under the commanding, I'm still talking about the commanding. Commanding in du'as. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, commanding in du'as. This is not called fi'l amr. This is not called fi'l amr. This is called fi'l at-talab. Sorry. Why? Why would you do this? Okay. Yeah. فعل الطلب. فعل الطلب. Okay. فعل الطلب. فعل الطلب. Like this. فعل الطلب. Or فعل طلب. Just simple. فعل طلب. Okay. So فعل طلب, it's just called فعل طلب. It's constructed the same way. The reason is you cannot command the Almighty, right? You cannot command the Almighty. You cannot command the Almighty, right? So when we talk to Allah in du'as, there are a lot of commands we use. A lot of command construction we use. For example, Rabbi shrah li sadri. If you know this dua of Hazrat Musa, Rabbi shrah li. Rabbi shrah li sadri. Okay? Rabbi shrah li sadri. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. The dua I read all the time. Okay? Okay? So this is to expand. Rabbi shrah li sadri. My Rabb, my Master, expand my chest for me. Expand my chest for me. Okay? It means give me confidence and stuff. Okay? Now this is a command. Ashrah is the command. Okay? It's a command, but you cannot command the Almighty, right? So when you talk to Allah, asking Him something, you call it talab. You're asking, requesting. It's His request. Okay? It's a request you put forward. Excuse me. Okay, so in those cases, the command is called fi'l talab, right? Just so you know, in case you see this written somewhere, you know. Okay, so you cannot call it fi'l amr. You cannot call it fi'l amr. Okay, fi'l amr is for usual commanding to someone else, anyone other than Allah or the Almighty is fi'l amr. But from the du'a's perspective, it is fi'l talab. Okay. Okay, just a small note. Okay. So you also know Rabbana taqabbal dua. Rabbana wa taqabbal dua, isn't it? Rabbana wa taqabbal dua. Okay. You know this, right? You read it quite a lot in the salah. You read quite a lot in the salah, isn't it? Okay. Rabbana wa taqabbal dua. So this taqabbal is a command. This taqabbal is a command. Okay. Oh my Lord, and accept my supplication. And accept my supplication. Okay. So you cannot command. So it's a fi'l talab. You would call it talab, request, kind of, right? Talab. Just so you know, it applies to both forbidding and commanding, not just commanding. It applies to both. Okay? So if you're requesting Allah, saying, Allah, please don't give me tough time, please please don't give me bad results in the exams. So you're not basically forbidding, you're basically talabing. You're basically not talabing. You're basically putting forward your talab, right? Your request. So just a small note that you should know. Okay? The small tiny things. Okay. So it's more from the grammatical perspective. We have to keep that in mind. Okay. If there are any questions, please pop in the questions. I will try to answer. It looks like not many of you have joined, but I hope you will follow through this lecture. So that's why I'm keeping it light, because there was some sort of confusion in the class timings today. So I could even make it shorter. So we can tomorrow, inshallah, kick off with the new topics. So I can give you another thing today about the fails while you're talking the fails and some new stuff. So the use of qad. The use of qad. Okay. Use of qad. Something is wrong with the alignment. Okay, use of qad. Okay. Now, qad is only used with fails. It is only used with fail. It is only used with fail. Okay. In the Quran, the qad is used with both present tense and past tense. In the Quran, qad is used both with past and present tense. Okay? Okay? And it is used to emphasize and to imply certainty. Okay? It is used in the Quran to emphasize and imply certainty. Certainty. Okay? Okay? So qad is like inna in the ism, right? You have inna harf of nasab, isn't it? Inna means certainly, right? For ism world, in the ism world, you say inna Allah. Inna Allah. Okay? Inna Allah. This inna is bringing certainty, right? It means indeed, and it means certainly, and so on. But after inna, there would always be an ism, right? There would not be a fail. There would not be a fail. There would always be an ism. Just like that, qad is specifically for fails. Qad would always be followed by a fail. It is a good indication when you find a qad, you know the next word should be fail. Okay, the next word should be fail. Okay, in modern Arabic, it's used a bit differently as well in terms of meaning already, or it may mean for the same thing for emphasis and so on. But generally in the Quran, it is used for the emphasis and the certainty. Okay. Okay, so that's a small point I wanted to give you. A small thing I wanted to give you. Okay? Good. These are very small things. Okay. So let's do the following. What I'll do is I'll just move on to the exercise, and we'll do the exercise. I don't want to start a new topic today because of the strength in the class. So we'll do the exercise a little bit, and then we'll go from there. And inshallah, tomorrow we will do a full comprehensive lecture because the students will present more tomorrow, right? Okay, so let me go to the exercise. I asked you guys to look into this exercise and do an identification exercise if it is a forbidding, commanding, or an observation, right? Forbidding, commanding, and observation. Hopefully you got a chance to do it, and also to translate it, So let's see if you have done it. It says la yazuquna, la yazuquna. Okay, la yazuquna. Now I see una completely written here. Okay, I see una completely written here. Okay, it's not the lightest form, right? Yazukuna is not the lightest form. Yazu, and it's also not the second person, right? It's ya. Okay, and it's ya. It's not the second person. So I cannot say it's a forbidding statement, right? It's more of an observation for me. It's more of an observation for me. Okay, I'm kind of saying don't taste, don't taste, don't taste. That's what I'm saying, right? Let's go to number 8. Usjudu. Usjudu. So what am I looking at? I'm looking at usjudu, and I have a good indication, which is a helper alif, kind of, with a dhamma here. And this concept applies primarily in the commanding. And the fail is also lightest, right? There's no usjuduna, right? There's no usjuduna. Okay, so this is effectively a command. It's effectively a command. Okay. So what else? What else? What else? What else? Okay, I would take, let's say, la takhafa. La takhafa. Okay. So I know I see la here, which is an indication it could be forbidding, but it equally could be an observation. So I need to find if it is a madzum form of the fi'l or not. If it is madzum, I'm going to call it a forbidding fi'l nahi. If it is not, I'm just going to call it an observation or a statement, right? Now, takhafa, how do I decode this? Takhafa, this has some sort of ending which is looking abnormal, right? Takhafa, alif ending, alif ending. I don't have any such ending, right? This ending can only be achieved if I have this fi'l in this form. Takhaf, takhafani, takhafani, right? Like tansurani, right? Like tansurani, takhafani, like this. And if I remove, this noon, and if I remove this noon, if I remove this noon, I'm left with takhafa. And I remove the noon when I want to make a fi'l matzum, right? So I make this fi'l madzum. So this tells me this is a madzum fi'l, right? This is a madzum fi'l. Okay, and it's not observation. It is a forbidding statement. So it's gonna be don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Okay. Okay, let's look at this one. وَأَنْصُرْنَا وَأَنْصُرْنَا. Okay, so now I'm looking at 3 words here. Be careful. Va, ansur, and na. Va, ansur, and na. This is, na is zamir mutasil, meaning the attached pronoun. It's an attached pronoun. Okay? And va is a connector. Va is a connector. Right? Connector. And na is an attached pronoun. Okay? Now let's look at this ansur. Ansur is lightest, and it can be lightest in 3 cases, as we know today. If there is a nasibatul mudare majzoom in front of it, meaning the lightest present tense harf in front of it, okay, there is none. I don't see any harf here. Okay, there's no harf before it that I see, right? The second case, it could be forbidding. If it is forbidding, it has to have a la. There is no la here as well. Okay, no harf, no harf, Nola. Nola. Just write it like this. Nola. Okay. And the only reason it could be light as far as I know today is command. And it seemed to also have a helper aleph. Okay? It seemed to also have a helper aleph. So I'm going to call it a command. It's like help us. Help us. All right. So I'm gonna leave this exercise for you. It's pretty simple actually. So let me just let you run with it. So let's go to the next one. This is more of a cumulative Arabs. This is bringing everything together. Everything you have learned in this course, you should apply. Okay, in these few statements that are written here. And I'm not going to do all of it. I'll just do one or two with you, and I'll leave it for you, inshallah. And we'll close the class sooner today because of the strength. And inshallah, tomorrow we'll do the new topic. There's no point doing a new topic today. Okay. So let's start, inshallah. Okay. فلينظر فلينظر الإنسان إلى طعامه. Then let mankind look at his food. Okay. Now what I'm looking at here is that the way you need to think, the way you need to think, I'm looking at fal yanzuri. I need to first find how many words are these. How many words are these? I'm looking at yanzuri, and I'm also looking at a fal. I'm also looking at a fal. I'm looking at a fal too, right? Fal. Okay, these two words, effectively three words, fa, lam, and yanzuri. But we have done the lightest present tense harfs, right? Fi'il mudare majhul, nasibatul mudare majhul, right? We have done it as a present tense light harf, lightest harf, wal falli, if you remember, yeah, wal falri. So this fal is effectively making the making yanzur lightest. But the problem is I don't see it as lightest because there is a kasra which is confusing me. Which is a kasra, and it is confusing me. Where does the kasra come from? I don't know any fi'l that ends with a kasra. I just don't know any fi'l that ends with a kasra. Okay, I'll come to that in a minute. Okay, first let's understand this is a fal from the lightest present tense harf, making the fi'l lightest. Okay, so this is the beginning of the jumla ismiya. Sorry, jumla fi'liya. Jumla fi'liya. This is jumla fi'liya, JF. Okay, and it is a huwa form, isn't it? It's a huwa form. So I have got my fi'l, which is a jumla fi'liya. I've got my fi'l, which is yanzuri, right? Now in front of it, I have an ism which is in raf'a. I have an ism which is in raf'a. Okay, so whenever you have a huwa or a hiya form of a fi'l, you should look for what? An outside doer, right? So I'm looking for an outside doer here, and I found an ism in rafa. So this insanu is going to be my fa'il. Okay, it's insanu is going to be my fa'il. Fal yanzuril insanu. Now, coming back to the kasra, where this kasra comes from? Where did it come from? So the kasra comes from the reason that when you have a sukoon on the last letter of a fi'l, when you have a sukoon on the last letter of a fi'l, and you have immediately an alif following it, you have an immediately alif following it. This alif I'm talking about. Right? This alif. When you have immediately alif following it, then you cannot really pronounce it. Then you cannot really pronounce it. In that case, you would put a kasra because of there is an alif following it. But it is still lightest. Okay? It is for the pronunciation, it's for the flow. If you say fal yanzur insanu, that's fine, but it does not give you the flow in the language, right? The pronunciation, the reading flow. If you say fal yanzuril insanu, it will give you more connected way of reading it, isn't it? So that's why in the Arabic, the flow, how the language sounds like, is very important too. Okay? So because of this alif following the sukoon, there is a kasra here. Okay, just for that flow. But we will consider it lightest. It is still lightest. Okay? So we have the fi'il, we have the fa'il. Then I find ila ta'amihi. Ila ta'amihi. So what am I looking at? What am I looking at? I'm looking at ila ta'ami. I'm looking at ila and ta'ami first. Ila and ta'ami first, which for me is a harf of jar. This is a harf of jar, right? Harf of jar. Ila ta'ami is harf of jar. Therefore, it is going to be muta'alliq bil fi'l. It's going to be a muta'alliq bil fi'l, which is D, right? There is no maf'ul so far. There is no maf'ul so far, right? Then I'm also looking at ta'amihi. I'm looking at ta'amihi, right? I'm looking at ta'amihi, which for me is an idafa, right? It's an idafa. Idafa. Yeah? Ta'amihi. So this whole block, ila ta'amihi, is connected and I cannot disconnect it. So my muta'alliq bil fi'l is going to be all the way from ila to ta'amihi, right? You see that? You see that? And then you can map it to the translation. You can map it to the translation to see if it makes sense, right? Or even take help from translation while doing the Arabs. So if insanu is the doer, is outside doer, it should be reflected in the translation too. Then let mankind look. Who's looking? Mankind. So who's the doer? Mankind, right? At his food. Okay, at his food. You will find in translations are not done literally. For example, you were told that fal is effectively, it means should. Okay, ila is two or two words. Two words. Yes, these meanings, right? This is what we learned, right? Isn't it? Now, if you look at the translation, it says then let mankind. Then, where does this then come from? At his food. At his food. At. Ila did not mean at, right? It means to or towards it, his food. So because of this reason, every translator has to create a sense out of what's being said in the message. What's the message? Therefore, translation is always an interpretation, right? You cannot have a Quran in any other language other than Arabic, right? Arabic is the true Quran only. So translations would always vary because people will try to make sense of those translations, right? In English language, you have to use different words to make sense. I could say, should let mankind look to or towards his food. It does not really make much sense. It's not as neat, right? In English, it's not as neat. I want to give the same message, but probably using a bit more different words, keeping the core meanings aside. For example, ta'ami is food. I want to maintain it. His from the ha here, I want to maintain it. I want to maintain food. I want to maintain his. I want to maintain the meaning of the fi'ls, like mankind and look, and small things around it. I may use to make the right translation, right? Okay, so you may see different meanings. The meanings given to you are just reference meanings, and you may see fluctuations in those meanings when you look at the translations of different kinds. All right. Okay, good. So I don't want to do all of them. I just did one. It should bring a lot of concepts together. Whatever you have done, just apply this to your knowledge, inshallah. Do this exercise, complete it, and tomorrow, inshallah, we will start with a new topic. Okay, let's call it a revision day today. So it's almost 1 hour that we have been running the class now. 9 minutes left to 1 hour. So I think it's enough for today because of the strength. So let me close the class if that's okay. And tomorrow what we'll do is do a bit more comprehensive study of a new topic. And my apologies for the confusion. So I did send out an email on Wednesday or Thursday time frame that the class will take place, and also a message on WhatsApp. It was sent out. But no worries. Just take this lesson as a revision lesson, and inshallah we reconvene tomorrow and take it from there. Okay. Thank you very much, and up to the next class. Until the next class, I'll stay safe and remember all of us in your du'as, inshallah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.